Well, welcome to the first edition of Life After Work for 2022, and the first one in a little while. My name is Rod Maxwell. I'm a presenter at Radio Ulti, and along with these guys, I have the pleasure in taking part in this podcast, which I think we're up to about 30 odd episodes, chaps. The podcast is called Life After Work, where four people from the South Manchester-ish area, courtesy of a Greek island as well, get together and chat about all things about life and things in general. And, are very serious about a lot of things in life, especially about her, actually. But we'll come on to that later on. So with me on the call, I'll go round in no particular order, the storyteller.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy New Year, or Kalakronia, as they say here in Greece. I hope you're all had a wonderful Christmas and New Year, and I'm dead excited that we're back. It's like the fourth week we've been apart, so yeah, looking forward to it.
Very good. Thank you very much. Ashu.
Hi, Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you all had a lovely Christmas and New Year. And yeah, like Paul, separation. I was getting separation anxiety from you three. So I was thinking, I can't wait to get back to it. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
And the man who's looking younger in 2022 than he did in 21, Phil Harrison.
You're joking me, aren't you? I'm just commenting about growing a forehead in 2022. It'll have to be one of my New Year's resolutions. Now, I can confidently state if maybe we'd been apart for another week, I might have started to miss you guys a lot.
Oh dear, nothing like a.
I know it's great to be here again, anyway.
Well, anyway, so gentlemen, another Christmas done, another New Year's done, and the beginning of a new year. How did we feel? How do we feel now that we're starting 2022? Second Christmas in form of lockdown or some form of lockdown. Mad, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's just a horrible feeling of, I don't know what everyone else thinks, it's just deja vu again. It's just, it's just the same old tricks happening in the government, same old shenanigans. No one's taking account for any of their decisions that they've made. You'd like to think that, after 2 years of this going on, we'll have, the government will have learned something. Does it look like it? Does it look as though anything has been learned? It's the same things going again and again. And that's quite, I don't know, it just seems to be a little bit soul destroying, doesn't it, really? A little.
Well, I think they've excelled themselves this time. They've managed to keep that party quiet for about 9 months. Was it? That's incredible.
Don't you think it's very strange? I've noticed that as we're coming, I don't think they've learned a great deal, to be honest with you. I don't think they're still messing around with what it is. And this Omicron, it's basically, oh, hang on a minute, what's it called? Flu. That's all it is. It's flu. Because nobody's been hospitalized. People are getting, if you've got a runny nose and a cough and this, that, and the other, you've got Omicron. It's just flu. But I think it's very strange in the last couple of weeks how suddenly, we're changing to an endemic. So basically, yes, it's what we've got to, COVID's what we're going to live with, which is basically like flu. B, the government and Mr. Johnson are coming out and saying PCR tests, they don't really work, the crap. You don't really need them. Oh, we're going to stop travel here. What have they made the money back now? They can actually say we'll stop doing all these tests and everything like that. The question I want to ask is, could we have not reached this decision months ago that it is an endemic? We do have to live with it. It's, you get vaccinated, but months ago we could have decided that it's an endemic. We've got the jabs to sort it out. I don't know. I think
I don't know, Paul. I'm no fan of this government, but I do feel I'm less conspiracy theorist about this particular thing. That I think we've been running a fine balance and still are, really. And I do think it's wholly dependent on the fact that we've got boosters up to whatever it is now, about 65% of the population. I think without that, we'd be in deep doo-doo, to be honest. So I think we are only just where we are about this point of coming to accept it for being flu, which is where we've got to get to, really, I think, and is where we're getting to. But no, I'm happy to support other conspiracy theories.
But I just think that at the end of the day, as Paul was alluding to just then, he said we've got to get to the stage as a country. We can't keep vaccinating the whole country every 6 months and have a booster it's just untenable. You can't do that. It's just not feasible. We've got to start making plans to live with it, whereby you start targeting, the vulnerable in our society, the elderly, people with medical conditions and that sort of thing. And like Paul was just saying, if you're looking at Omicron now, the vast majority of the symptoms now it's even lower grade than a flu. It's more like a cold. It's more like people I was at the gym this morning and they said, "Oh, do you know I have COVID? The proper COVID." That's what they're calling it now. If you had the Delta one, you were out the game. Days you were scared. Now, if the Omicron is some people don't even know they've got it. They've got a bit of a snotty nose and that sort of thing. So I'm not, decrying it. We're still in the middle of something, But what we do not, we're looking at what our visions for the future. I'm really hoping there's going to be a plan in place whereby we're not, every time there's a new mutation, as I've joked before, we're going to run out of the letters of the Greek alphabet before the mutations start ending.
Yeah, so, what we're going to do then?
Oh, exactly. We've got to go back to alpha. I don't know. But the point is, at the end of the day, mutations are always going to happen, just like they've always happened with flu. There is no change there, and we've got to live through it. And, we need to make plans of protecting, like we did with flu. I mean,
but this is the way of things, isn't it?
Vaccinated. I mean, people, elderly, and my mum got vaccinated. People with medical conditions used to get vaccinated. Did you guys ever get vaccinated for flu?
Strangely enough, when I was back in the UK, 29th of December to be exact, I got vaccinated for the flu for the first time ever. I got a flu vaccine because I went from the health check, your blood and your blood pressure and all that business. And she gave me the flu jab. She actually offered me as well the pneumonia jab. So
do you think there's
this is the way we're heading, isn't it, though? And this is good news. The fact that with each wave that goes, with the immunity growing, our bodies get used to having had these infections, and there's a lingering effect each time. Strains get weaker. It's not to say that there won't be a nasty one again at some point, but this is the direction of travel, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, it is, I just don't think there should be an expectation when you're about between the ages of, 15 and let's say 40 or something. That's quite a big span, whereby you should be expecting, I need to get my booster, I need to have a vaccine, because in the last year or so, that's what used to happen, in the last year. But as when we were younger, 25, 35, 45, I never was vaccinated for anything, no flu or anything like that. We just need to get back to the normality, in the sense that it's not necessary for the vast majority. It's a flu, like you said, Paul. It's just, we have to just get on with it, and it will mutate every year, and we don't need to just scare ourselves silly. I just really do hope that as this year moves on, it'll slowly become a distant memory. We start living with it properly.
Yeah, I think
we don't lose our lessons that we've learned. But
I was at the football yesterday, and
sorry about that, Rod.
that wasn't one to be sorry about, Phil. There's been others. Actually, I'll tell you about that later on. But I recently, when I've been going back to Old Trafford, I've been wearing a mask, and that's not to hide who I am, by the way, Mr. and yesterday I actually decided not to, but it was very noticeable that the vast majority of people now are not wearing masks going through the concourse, or not wearing masks in the stadium. It's the very, very small minority of people who are doing so, and in some ways that makes you feel actually a little bit less on edge, because you're not wearing this artificial thing. Now whether it's the right thing to do, I don't know. But one thing I was going to say earlier is, do you think there's any link between the good news that comes out, like pandemic to endemic, and other things, and about freeing up whenever there's a bit of other news about our government around, i.e. summer parties and that type of thing?
Absolutely. Every time they need something to kick that story off the top spot, don't they? So I'm surprised we're not having a press conference tonight, and I wouldn't still rule it out to announce some major development.
I mean,
it seems to be deflection tactic, actually, doesn't it?
I seem to remember, I'm not sure if it was that long ago, but Ash saying Prince Andrew will be very happy that the COVID has come about, because it's taken the onus off him. So yeah, It's
But it wouldn't surprise you, would it? At the end of the day, they always say it's a good time to bury news. It's an awful thing to say. It's so horrible. But you're right, Paul. At the end, it seems that way, doesn't it? It can't be a coincidence, can it?
Well, two mechanisms they use. That's one of them, to get it off the media front pages. And the other is, let's have an investigation into anything. I was appalled this morning seeing him on the news, evading questions or avoiding them totally, on the basis that, oh, we've got a proper investigation going now. And it seems sort of totally counterintuitive. And in an investigation, you'd normally be saying, great, that'll get to the bottom of things. With this government, an investigation is just a rigged process to delay it. Did we ever have the Russian interference in the elections report come out? No, we didn't. They delay till the world's moved on. They rig whoever's going to do the investigation. Never has it been more important to consider who watches the watchers, because all they need to do is appoint the person who's going to investigate them. Surprise, surprise, the parliamentary committee standards thought there was nothing to investigate. How bizarre is that?
No, I just watched Parliament over my lunch today.
Absolutely appalling.
Well, it was. I'll tell you what was interesting is the session was being run by, it wasn't the Attorney General, I forget who else it was, but the opposition benches were reasonably full. The government benches empty. I mean, I'm talking, there wouldn't have been any more than 10 members of parliament for the, and you sort of think, that is not politics, because those people can ask as many questions they like in the opposition, but they were getting battered away. And you sort of think, that's not democracy in action. That's not.
And remember, Rod, these MPs are being paid by tax dollars. They are getting paid for this. They should be there. There's got to be a reason for it.
It's keep your head down time. It's keep your head down time.
Exactly. When you're on a televised stage in front of the nation, you don't want to turn up and be subject to some very dicey questions, do you, from the opposition? It's better not to turn up.
I think the Tory party will be recognising they've reached the point now where he's an absolute liability. All that's kept him going so far is his popularity, supposed popularity in the country to win polls. But I don't believe most of the Conservative Party even back him now. And the minute he drops in the polls, and I think it's happening, he's gone. And I think the issues are done for him.
The issue we've got is actually the government aren't governing, because all the cabinet ministers, in my view, are all trying to line themselves up to potentially take over his job, right? All the senior ones, and they're more focused on their own profiles than actually doing any work, in my opinion. And the sooner we have a leadership change, move on, and there's some sort of recognized governance within the government and some sort of recognized authority, we might be able to get something done. But there's absolutely no authority. There's no respect. There's no governance within the government at all.
But Rod, even if they did have a leadership change, first of all, who would you pick out of that motley crew? At the end of the day, it's just moving deck chairs on a sinking ship, isn't it? Who would you have as a leader? I don't trust any of them. There's not many who have actually covered themselves with glory. Really,
but you're picking from a bad crop. I've been saying to people recently, I would propose parliamentary democracy reform in this country where it doesn't matter which party you are, you cannot run for MP unless you've had a job of some description, right, for at least 10 years, right? Because and it doesn't matter if that job was you were a bin man or a refuse recycling person, all the way through to you're a lawyer, whatever it is. You need proper experience of the world, and 10 years mightn't even be that much. We have far too many career politicians who've worked their way up from being in government departments and doing civil servants jobs or other things, and even in the labor benches, people who haven't necessarily had a lot of experience, and they're not able to do their job of representing the people and governing the country because they don't know how to do a job. So I think that's what we've got. We've got a cabinet that's weaker than most FTSE 100 executive teams, and they look after billions upon billions of quid. That can't be right, No.
Well, such has been the drop in quality in that I reckon in 2022 I have got a good chance of one of two things happening. That is either becoming Prime Minister or becoming a member of the English cricket team. Excellent. I'm just a bit torn as to which one to try and go for, which is more realistic.
I would vote for you. See, the thing is, I would vote for you as Prime Minister, because if you became Prime Minister, you could force your way into the English cricket team anyway. So
yeah, that's true. I could just appoint myself, couldn't I?
Yeah, you can't go from cricket team to Prime Minister because
No,
people will just laugh at you, but you can go the other way. So you've got my vote.
I thought you were going to say there's a good chance you could be a central midfielder in Man United's midfield.
Well, that's a close third, to be fair.
To be honest, there's more presence of a government than there is of our midfield at the moment, but that's a totally different issue.
Anyway, Happy New Year, everyone.
Anyway, tell me, so Christmas, was it more normal than other Christmases, or was it okay?
It was. I found it. Do you know, to be honest, and this is the first time in my 57, because I love Christmas, okay? I've always loved Christmas. Unfortunately, I'm going to say this, and I don't know, I feel bad about myself, but I found Christmas this year an inconvenience. It was like a day off, if you like, a day of something that I really didn't need. I think it's added to the fact that I'd flown back to the UK. Me and Jane were very busy just ripping out our old kitchen and putting in a new kitchen. And we've been in our scruffs for Christ knows how many days. Everything was upside down. And then it's like, let's take a break now because it's Christmas Day tomorrow. Well, I need to get this in, or I need to finish that. And it was like, it was very, don't get me wrong, we went to Jane's daughters and with all the grandkids and her kids, and we had a great Christmas lunch. It was very enjoyable, but it just came as a bit of an inconvenience to me, and I didn't feel Christmassy.
I sort of get that in the circumstance you had. Personally, I'd say I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was more normal this year, Rod, because and enjoyable as well, from the fact that Omicron was starting to rage, or so we were told, and people were dropping left, right, and centre with it. So I fully expected that all the celebrations would be kiboshed, one way or another. And thank goodness, and we planned for all the family to do it on one day, on Christmas Day. 15 people. We thought I know it's not a bubble as such, but I thought the bubble's going to burst here and it's going to fall apart. We even had a plan B with a secondary Christmas dinner bought to cook at home if it went wrong. But luckily, no, it managed to survive. So all 15 people managed to get together. And because we'd been sensible about basically self-isolating quite strictly in the run-up to it so that it could happen, it was a really nice sort of, great, this is the day, finally it's here. So I'm maybe the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of how it built up and what it meant this year to me.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. That was a good plan, that, actually, Phil. Yeah, I guess. Sorry to take the thunder. I know, boys, you want to go in. It kind of, although I knew Christmas is happening, it kind of crept up too fast onto me. Suddenly it was like, oh, it's 3 weeks till Christmas, and then the next thing I know, I'm pulling out a sink. It's Christmas Day tomorrow. It's like, oh my God, it came too quick. Too quick for me.
We had my wife's 50th birthday, because Helen's 50, his birthday's on Christmas Eve, and it almost, in some ways, it's a nice intro to Christmas, but a flipping nightmare when you can't remember stuff like what presents to buy and all that type of thing. And logistics are a nightmare. But we went out, the five of us, so the three kids, Helen and I, went out for a meal in Manchester. We did one of these tasting menus at your man Wood's place in Manchester. And it's just the five of us, nobody else, and it was just really quite nice. And all the kids are of an age now; they enjoy food, they drink wine. We had a wine flight, and that was the day before Christmas Eve, and it was almost like the pre-party to the party, and it was a nice little sort of intro to the festive season. I think I enjoyed that probably the best, if I'm honest with you. It was quite nice,
Excellent.
So
yeah, I mean,
how about you, Ash?
It was nice to get the family back. So, like you were saying there, both of you, the Christmas before, it was just our family. So it was nice for Heidi's sister to come in with you as well. So that was really nice. And it's nice to actually, I don't know, to actually enjoy it now, rather than before. Is it going to happen? Is this going to, is it going to occur at all? We had a little, like Phil was just saying, it was, you know, there was an element of it might be postponed, it wasn't there. There was a shadow hanging over, but we got through that, and then it was just fine after that. And then it was really good, relaxing, chilled out.
We didn't get through any of the normal things we do between Christmas and New Year because two of the guys in the house tested positive for COVID, and so then that was it. We were locked down, didn't do New Year. We didn't meet up with the guys. We meet up in New Year, and that was a shame because there's that period between Christmas and New Year when everybody's off and you can do spontaneous things or just go out for walks. That's the nice thing, and we couldn't do that this year. You know, made it a bit longer in a way.
Yeah.
You had more time to work on your resolutions then, Rod.
Now, gentlemen,
there's always a silver lining.
This is the bit I was waiting to get to, the resolution bit. Like, do we make any? Where did they come from? Are we any good at keeping them? Do they mean anything?
Can I ask before somebody answers that? Did you go back to our program, our episode last year about resolutions at all? Has anybody recapped?
Nope.
Because it's quite amusing. Well, I'm going to wait to hear what you say, and then I might remind you of some things that were said last year.
They'll be exactly the same ones. That's what.
Well, maybe they will, maybe they won't. Let's see. So who's going to go then?
Can't you do it the other way around, Phil?
No.
Tell us what it was, and we can.
No, you got to say what
Go
you
on,
think.
Paul.
Oh, blimey. Is this resolutions from last year?
No.
Just you can do them for this year, and I'll just see if any of them chime with what we said last year.
Well, I kind of had a thoughts on resolutions this year, and I thought that basically what's the point? You know, giving up biscuits, going to the gym. I even wrote a poem on it. You may have seen it about, you know.
It did indeed, yes. Good
I
one.
think so. My sort of resolution to myself was to continue just to enjoy the year ahead and try and enjoy it more now that sort of COVID's been made into an endemic and we've got a bit more freedom, just to try and enjoy. And do you know what, chaps? One of the things is, because you get to that time of life, resolve to stay alive the next year, keep myself healthy, make it to this time next year when we're doing the same sort of podcast. So it's not about resolutions that I can't keep. Don't ever ask me to give up biscuits or cigarettes. It's never happening. Never happening. So I thought, and then it got me thinking, well, why do we make these resolutions? But I think the bottom line for me is to just continue with what I'm doing. You know, enjoy my writing, enjoy my life, and try not to worry too much about anything if I can, because worry, as we all know, gentlemen, causes stress and it's a killer. You know, my dad worried and had heart attacks, and try and look on the bright side of life and just keep living. That's my resolution, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, that chimes with me as well, Paul. I'm just because I've got no actual, like, you know, go to the gym or do this, that, and the other. There's nothing tangible like that, but it's more of a general thing because we've had like Mira, my eldest, she was 18, just gone on Friday, and then we got photographs of when she was younger. You know, people do cakes, and there's Mira when she was 5, 4, and then Aaron when it got. And you know what, like you just said, Paul, you just realise it's just life has just gone so fast, so quickly, so rapidly, and then you just think to yourself, right, I just need to just step off that accelerator or get off that carousel and just enjoy it a lot more. I don't know how, I don't know what that means actually. It just sounds a bit of a, you know, it's just a bit nebulous, doesn't it? It's just, what I'm saying is that in whichever way, to make a conscious decision to actually try and enjoy, you know, the time now. I don't know how, I don't want to get morbid or anything. We, like you just said, we don't know how long we've got now, do we? You know, our kids are getting older, and it's right in front of us, and then we get memories all the time. You know, I don't know if you guys get it. You got like this Google thing that tells you 4 years ago today this happened, 10 years ago today this happened, and you know, you wake up nice in the morning thinking, oh yeah, great, and then you just realize the picture of you 10 years ago, you think, oh bloody hell, geez, what the hell. So just to enjoy life more. However I get to do that.
Yeah. Phil doesn't want to go, Rod. It's you, because Phil's got that. Phil's going to
No,
drop.
it's,
No,
don't
it's
worry.
reveal, I can tell. Well,
Do
do you know, I was wondering about this because I understand new year, new start, and all that, and it's a sort of a threshold. But I held back communicating any of my resolutions, to be honest, because I thought. I don't know if it was I didn't want to conform, but there's something that I was forced to do is tackle my wardrobe, right? And I didn't realize my wardrobe was basically like the TARDIS, because there was 4 bags of clothes, bin bags of clothes came out that either were too small or no longer fashionable. And it still looked bloody full, honest to God. And it was both a helpful thing and it was a bit distressing because, as I've probably said before, memories are important to me. And if I keep a memory and I can hold a memory, my God, that's like gold dust. And some of these clothes brought back memories of when I wore them or certain things, and letting them go was a nightmare, a real nightmare. And then I tried to fit into them and I thought, oh, this is ridiculous, So that's that. So I've done the first. I've got 4 bags of clothes that are in the car that I got to take to the charity shop today. And actually, it was quite nice because the kids went through them and thought, I'll have that. And some of them are more unisex. That's okay. But and then I looked at my weight and I thought, oh my God, this is ridiculous. So my main New Year's resolution is to eat less and try to exercise a bit more. I have to lose some weight because I've become the person physically in my frame that I never wanted to be. And I can't. But the problem is, I don't enjoy exercise. I don't enjoy running. I don't enjoy going to the gym. But I've just got to eat less and walk a bit more. So that's my. I don't want to be that middle-aged person who's got the middle, and I'm already there. And when you put clothes on that you thought fitted you and they don't, and it's a good reminder. So that's my main thing this year. But it's eating less is got to be my thing.
Can I, just before I'm dying for Phil to drop this bombshell, whatever.
No, there's no bombshell. Don't worry.
Just before he did, I'm not an exerciser, Rod, and I'm not a runner. I do walk a lot here now, but so just before I finished work the last 2 years, I went up to 17 stone, and there was a guy at work told me about intermittent fasting.
Yes,
which I went on. I'm now, I think, just over 14 stone, and that was basically not eating from 8 o'clock at night until 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you can do that, if you can fast for those 12 hours, you see, my biggest downfall was nighttime snacking. I'd have a bag of crisps or cheese and biscuits at night, and it doesn't sit heavily with your body. That it doesn't sit well with your body, I should say, and it lays quite heavily on your stomach and breaks it down. So if you can go to the intermittent fasting, trust me, it works.
Well, I was 12 back in 2016, roughly speaking, before I had my surgery. I hit 17 the other week, or
it's
just
so
before Christmas.
it's so easily done.
And I'm not as tall as you, and it's all around the middle. And I thought I was doing all right. I thought, but then I looked at my breakfast and it's like bowl of cereal, it's fruit, and it's toast and marmalade, and it's banana. And I've gone, right, that's got to stop. That's just got to stop. So
I'd maybe keep that one, Rod, and because that doesn't sound bad to me. It's a good start today. It'll give you energy. I don't do anything too drastic. I think you hit the nail on the head with if you're not an exerciser, or rather, if you're not an intense exerciser, I think the more walking is a fantastic one, because you can it's slow and steady. It's a direction of travel. It's nothing drastic. You won't fall off that particular wagon if it's something that's relatively easy to build into your lifestyle. So I think that's a good one for you to go for. And yes, be sensible about your eating, but I wouldn't stress too much on the eating side. Just because you'll find you don't need to do intense sport. You can just do a bit more prolonged, steady state activity to burn up a few more calories. And as long as you if you want to do it for losing weight, as long as you're losing even a minimal amount over a couple of weeks, if that direction of travel is there and you've not had to strain yourself to do it, then as long as you keep doing that, eventually you'll get to where you want to get to.
I think the key thing is measuring it, because I think I just ignored it and I didn't measure it, didn't go near scales. And I think actually you do get what you measure, if you know what I mean. So
well, you can do it like that. I mean, we talked a lot of last year about sort of goal setting. You can do it like that, and that can be motivational. But if you want to do it almost without thinking about it, and therefore it not be a stress and a strain and a worry, and have I achieved this yet? I'd almost recommend for this particular one, it just be about, I've changed my lifestyle. This is now what I do. I go for a walk, at least. I don't know what you want to set yourself. If you want to set any goals, do it more like that. That I'll walk every other day, quite low level. And you can, maybe by not measuring it, you measure it after the first couple of weeks, see what's happening, or after a month. As long as you know something's happening, just forget it then, because it will happen. Measuring it won't make it happen.
I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Phil. It is a case of a lot of people going 100 miles an hour to losing weight, don't they? It does become a stressful thing. You know, if they suddenly have to get up and go to a gym because they've just signed that £40 a month membership, if they have to do go running because they said they would go running a mile an hour, it does become a stressful thing. And I think the key to losing weight, as Phil has very, very rightly said there, it's doing something where you're not stressing about losing weight. If you can do it in bit, I'm not saying the intermittent fasting that I did, it wasn't it wasn't over a couple of months. I mean, you see yourself losing pounds over the months, but this has been a 2-year process. And what I find about the intermittent fasting, which worked for me, I mean, it's not for everybody. Don't get me wrong, it really isn't for everyone. And if you read up, it's actually for some people, it's quite detrimental to the health, this intermittent fasting. But what I found is that it became, once I'd lost that weight, it's very hard for me to put it back on again. I've got to a point where I think my body's adapted to be in this particular way. And yes, I might put on a kilo here or lose a kilo there, but I'm averaging now between 90 kilos, and I seem to be stuck there, which is a great weight for me. I feel more energetic. I feel less lethargic, because when I was carrying that 17 stone, again, like you say, Rod, it's round the stomach. And not only was it making me tired, I would look at it in the mirror and think, oh, God almighty, you look a disgrace. And that in itself would stress me out. And it's this massive circle. And as I say, it was a guy at work, and we noticed, and then we said to this guy, Dale, are you losing weight? He said, yeah, I am. And we went and said, well, what are you doing? And that's when he said, I just don't eat between 8 o'clock at night and 8 o'clock in the morning. I think Phil was saying there, your breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So if you're fasting at 8 o'clock in the morning, you carry on with what you're eating, because you need your metabolism to burn the remaining fats and get rid of all that fat. So,
well, I'll give you. I feel like I've entered what is one of those diet clubs. You know, I feel like it's a podcast for a diet club. But you know, what is it they have? What are they called? Those clubs that a lot of people turn up to.
Weight Watchers.
There you go.
Weight Watchers.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll
How many
get
calories can you tell me are in dust? Anybody? Dust.
or maybe it's the donut you're having for breakfast. You know, maybe. Why we did it with an Irish voice? It makes it looks like there's all Irish people who are getting fat. So there you go. Anyway, Phil, give us the big reveal. What did
I've overbuilt it up now, haven't I? This is it. It's interesting to go back to it, because there's something strange going on, because last year we had quite a good debate about it being a good opportunity for goal setting. And actually, I sense our mood, because I'm the same as well, in that I'm different this year, just like you guys seem to be, that we're a bit more relaxed about it. And it is, just enjoy things. And you, Rod, maybe the only one who's coming up with something, right, I want to do this. And it's coming from a good place to try and do something that you want to make happen. That's great. I don't decry that at all. But yeah, it's interesting that we're less on the trail of setting ourselves some sort of targets to hit, because that's what we seem to be a bit more about last year. I think for me, I've still got mine. Maybe it's I've got that side boxed off already, really, because I've still got my events and I've got the training plan. So I don't need to set any more. My plate's full, so to speak. But yeah, we're much more about just enjoying the journey this year. We talked a lot last year about giving up biscuits. So it's clearly a theme of yours, Paul. And I think we can safely say that 3 of us are not giving up biscuits. Rod, you might... Are you saying you're putting that one on yours though this year?
I am.
However, I am going to make a resolution, an opposite one, to finish the mince pies, because as ever, we've come out this side of Christmas with still a box or 2 of mince pies in the cupboard. So
they need to be gone. Philip.
They do. So I'm going to make it a point of finishing the mince pies, and I might even set a date on it. So there you go. One of mine last year was traveling. To go traveling a bit more. Now, clearly that hasn't happened. That's don't want to return too much to the COVID situation, but clearly we were hoping for things to become a bit more normalized. And I know certain people did go traveling, but for me, that stress-free, relaxed environment to go and do some leisure traveling wasn't there. There was too much. I think we talked in one of our episodes about the perils of trying to go abroad, and passenger locator forms and PCR tests on 2-day arrival and all that. So that didn't happen either. So maybe it was part of the fact that what's the point this year of setting some resolutions like that? Go for something a bit more controllable. Actually, listening to last year, I was very Norman Collier last year on the my Wi-Fi was shocking. So I should have set was to get better Wi-Fi in the house. And I thought your comment was brilliant earlier, Paul. I don't know if you want to repeat it. My Norman Collier on my Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, so you were like that, coming across like that. It came as one of my resolutions was to get a better wife.
And I have to say, it's not one I've achieved. That's I have got a new router. So that's router, not daughter. Yeah, so I think maybe for some reason we seem to be in more relaxed fashion about, or maybe resolutions have gone out of fashion this year. So
you see, I've gauged. I mean, I've come out. I want to, just enjoy my life and relax. Ash has come out with the same, relax and just get on with life because time's passing us by. Yourself, Phil, I want to keep traveling. I'm just going to relax, and then you get, I'm just a fat bastard. Poor Rodney. My heart goes out to him. It really does.
Well, we're here as the support club anyway, Rod. We'll get you there.
I'm feeling the love.
That's exactly what I was going to say. My resolution is to give Phil full support in his endeavour to lose. How much do you want to lose, Phil? Rod,
I was going to say.
I'm 3 stone would be nice.
So that's 84. Yeah, that's achievable. That's achievable.
Well, I feel like I'm under pressure now to check in with you chaps, And,
see that, but that's what we don't want. But if you want to, if that motivation is coming from yourself to do it like that, and you want to set some targets, we are more than happy to be the police on it. And
we're not.
More to support, not to stress you, but to support.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to be like, oh, Phil, why do I keep calling you Phil today? That's ridiculous.
Well, maybe it's because I've dyed my hair.
It's because he's moved position in the room. You're going to start a room here that isn't true.
I tell you, I think
no product has gone on my hair.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, he's not dyed his hair. He's just gone darker. Must be the light.
The light.
As Phil said, it's the light in the room. Same light he's had for a year, but it must be the light in the room.
Yeah. I reckon he's got a new sponsor, guys. Feed Al Sassoon.
Yeah.
Because
it's worth it. You ask me. Anyway. So we're not gonna pressure you, Rod, but we're all here. If you want to say,
I feel so supported. I feel better already. I feel lighter. I think I'll go and have a cake.
There you go. First goal achieved.
I think I'll go and have a cake.
So will this be just for men then, Rod, or is it for everybody, this plan that you're going on?
There is no plan, Phil. This is the problem.
All right.
My plan is to put less in here and maybe do a bit more of that. Maybe, you know. But I mean, I have other goals this year, you know, but that's the main one. I don't want to be that mid-50s person that's got a mid-50s waist. You know, I just don't want to be that person. But more than that, I did not like chucking out clothes that were perfectly fine.
That's the real reason, isn't it? You
there
don't
it
want to
is.
get rid of those
There it
clothes.
is, right there. There it is.
But
right
it
there.
really was. It really was. And I know they'll go to the charity shop and it'll be good. But I was looking at them, I was thinking, I'm obviously really tight, because I was thinking I wouldn't have spent that money on that now. And you know, there was so I'm obviously just got tight as well, you know.
Well, can you imagine how good you're going to feel, Ron, let's say in the summer, when you go back to the charity shop and buy them all back again?
That's what Helen's worried about, actually.
She's hoping she's seen the last of those dungarees.
Yeah, they never worked the dungarees, but yeah.
The purple velour hot pants are the real worry, though.
Yeah. What's wrong with hot pants?
If I get your hairstylist for those pants, I'll be looking 25.
Do you know what worries me about you though, Rod? And obviously this isn't having a go at your current state of affairs with your brain, but tomorrow morning when you've got a full English fry up on a barm cake, you'll be going, what is it I'm supposed to be doing? You'll forget your resolution.
Well, this is my get out of jail card. You know, I can claim the memory.
We'll be texting you. We'll all bombard you in the morning at 8 o'clock.
Thanks. I as I say, I feel so supported here.
Oh God.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm glad that's the only one I was transparent on. All the other ones I've kept to myself, so I have. You know,
well, if it makes you feel better, Ron, one of my reasons for not going down the route this year is one of mine from last year when I was at my most serious was we talked a bit about the way 21's just gone. So last year, 2020 would have just gone by, and we talked about the community spirit that had been generated by lockdown, and we hope to keep that. And in that theme, I said, yeah, I'm couldn't be quite. I think the way I put it was too passive and not a very good keeper in toucher. So I'm going to be better this year. No, I didn't. So,
you know,
I think I'm just accepting my nature for 2022 and say, no, I'm probably going to be the same in 2022.
But you
enjoy the ride.
That in itself is okay, because if you accept it and you're not trying to fight it, and that can be okay too.
Exactly. I mean, the world is full of miserable gets. So, you know, one more won't make a difference, Phil.
You accused me of being miserable last year as well.
There's a theme. There is a theme here.
Well, at least he's consistent then, isn't he?
Yeah,
exactly. Just like the cream through a Victoria sponge. Oh, easy, Rodney. Easy. Stay where you are.
Don't tempt me.
Well, you're a cruel man, Mr. Davis.
I have a feeling he's going to come over. He'll fly over and he'll do some sort of looking through my cupboards and stuff and chuck stuff out. You know.
I'm going to sort out a roster between us three. We're going to be knocking on your door doing the checks.
Right.
We'll have to do that. You know, Rob, if you remember, a year and a bit before all this kicked off, we actually used to meet up actually for coffees and things like that. So you should do that again. I mean, not because of your weight or anything. That's not, just generally, that's another thing we could do. Is definitely, it'd be nice. I used to, you know, once a month or something, just have a nice little chat, meet up in, where was it? Rhode Island and you know, in Alton.
I think on a serious note, going back to what Phil said about that he wanted to last year's resolutions to be more sort of in the community and everything like that. Again, last year, it's made it very difficult for all these social events and this just going for a coffee, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I actually think it's the fact, if you can meet, this is great. The Zoom meeting is great, but we're all in our own homes and we're communicating by video. If you can do what you were saying there, Ash, if you can meet up in a social setting, like just in a coffee shop and have a chat, it doesn't even have to be about anything in particular, does it? Just
That's what we
stew
used to
the
do.
cud, have a coffee, have a laugh. That is such a great remedy for
For sure.
great mental health,
Yeah.
because you get to unload, B,
For
you get
sure.
to, that's what it's. And we were stopped again last year. We were very much stopped from doing all that kind of business.
But
That's very true. It'd be great to get together for a coffee, maybe look at a cake.
Yes. Oh yeah. Or two.
Rod, I'll be with you. I'll show solidarity. I'm not a big cake eater anyway. We can share a biscotti.
Yeah, we can share some fresh air. But look, I know, I actually think it's going to take us a while to get back to normal.
Yeah.
I really do believe it. It's like, when they used to say about shutting down a factory, and you could shut it down overnight, but to get it going back again, it takes time. And I think, it's happening. And I think, Phil, to your point, the sad thing is, I don't think community will have got any better, really, apart from WhatsApp groups, which are very virtual. I don't think that moment will have been locked in, and I don't think we'll come out of this whole thing any better than we were when we went into it. I just don't think so. And I think you only have to look at what's going on in Parliament at the moment, and you just sort of think, well, that's now the sideshow. They had a chance if they'd all behaved themselves.
What
to
about
take us
the
in a good
reverse
direction.
then? Rod, what about the reverse then? So you said nothing's got better. My big, I was just thinking about this before, is my big worry is that what are the scars that we're going to be left with that aren't really going to heal, or going to take ages to heal? We've been through so much. What do you think we're going to carry on forward for the next year, 2 years, from before, has it affected society so badly in certain ways that you think that's never going to come back? Because the first one is like parliamentary, our freedoms. I hope they're going to roll those back pretty quickly as well. We're kind of meeting in groups or whatever. But I mean, just on a general, I think society has been badly scarred, hasn't it, in the last few years?
I hope. I think it was yesterday on your show yesterday, Rod. You were talking about the news. 150,000 deaths in the UK from COVID.
Yep.
And what I'm hoping is that people remember that for if and when. And do you know what? Let's be honest. Something like this will happen again, because we had the Chinese flu a number of years ago. We have foot and mouth disease. We have all these things coming at once.
SARS.
And I'm hoping people will, yes, move forward with their lives and let's rebuild society. It's not Armageddon, but let's try and get some sort of normality back. But I hope people remember and heed that, if we do have something like this and you don't get a vaccinate, or you do whatever, 1,000 people in itself in the future. And I think that's, for me, there's a lot of people won't give a hoot about how many people have died because they've not and their family hasn't. So it'd be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. So for me, I think the biggest, not so much a scar, but the biggest thought of this is that 150,000 UK people perhaps needlessly lost their lives over COVID. And that's a legacy that unfortunately we will carry forward with us, and it's quite a sad one, to be honest with you. And I just hope we remember that when it comes to the next.
Well, the legacy. Well, Paul, I think the legacy goes even further, because I mean the big scar medically, if you're going down that line, is the fact that all those needless deaths of cancer diagnoses which were postponed for youngsters, people who could easily have survived that, late diagnosis of breast cancer, testicular cancer, heart diseases, diabetes, all these things that happen, which are just storing up now, because this has been kicked down the line now. So this is going to really erupt really horribly. And I think that's the big scar that's going to be we're never really going to get rid of.
I wonder whether, if you take the sort of reporting that they were doing and the metrics reporting that they were doing, I wonder if there's an argument that says, and I don't have a strong view in this, but I wonder if there's an argument that says, right, okay, we should actually keep that going, not just for COVID-related deaths, but for deaths related to cancer, deaths related to heart disease, etc., because we need to become more knowledgeable about what's causing people to die and what
Yeah.
could be done about it. And you know, I wonder whether we take this and you say, right, people should be trusted to have this knowledge, and there might be some action with it. You know, I don't know.
No, I think that's a really
Good
good
point.
idea, because it makes it very stark. Then it's not like if you someone say cardiovascular disease, again, people, you can't get your head around it, heart attack, or cholesterol. But if you actually put it into stark numbers, that will focus minds, won't it?
Well, and you know, ultimately, what you got is 370 billion we have spent on lockdown, and I guess a lot of that was the what was it called when people were getting
Matt Hancock's family.
Yeah, it's extra castle. But you know, we've spent 370 billion as a country. But again, that doesn't mean much unless it's put on the context of, well, what do we have to spend as a country every year? What percentage of our budget is that? What percentage of our health? And I think, if anything, what this turns around and says is that we should pick this up and say we need more transparency around what we're doing, what's spent, where are we, and trust the people. You know, because you can't start something and then just turn it off and stop it. You know.
No.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. Unfortunately, with this government, that's the last thing that's going to happen. That you get treated with disdain, and how many times have we had the Mickey taken in the last year by what we know has been going on? Do you think they're into particularly sharing a more transparent picture and educating and informing?
I think that can be said for every government, Phil. I think
Possibly, yeah.
The more they can keep us in the dark, the more powerful they feel, don't they? Because it's, we know something you don't know, and it's like, it's very, very, there does need to be more transparency. Because, like you say, 370 million pound on COVID. Oh my God, but we do actually spend 600 billion pounds on general health as it is. So there's got to be a balance, hasn't there? They've got to show you what we spend.
370 billion quid.
Yeah.
And that's more money that has been borrowed from somewhere, and we don't know how we pay that back, what terms we pay that back on, what period we pay it back, what's going to happen, and that's a heck of a lot, and of course within that you question how much was spent inappropriately, how much was spent with good value and good intention and good
hardly
outcome.
any. You look at track and trace, what was that, 12 billion, 20 billion? It's
what
not.
the hell was all that about? What was track and trace about?
What did it do? Prove
nothing. Anything. I mean, nurses want a decent wage, okay? And I don't think, if you look at 20 billion or whatever it won't be half as much as that.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, to be honest with you, the numbers have gone mad, right? And I saw a number yesterday, and it really hit me. All right, Philip Coutinho, the footballer who went from Liverpool to Barcelona, right? When he's now leaving Barcelona and going to Aston Villa, he was on 204. He currently is on £240,000 a week. £240,000 a week.
Wow.
I mean, that is just stupid.
Yeah, but that's if you look at you look at Pogba. Pogba's on 400,000. If you look at that's the going rate for Premier League teams and that sort of thing. But
Ash, in comparison what the average wage is in this country or any country, it's just stupid. It has to.
No, it is. Rod, the only thing I would say with that is that with that Premier League, I am not condoning it, obviously. What I'm saying is, if you look at market forces within the Premier League, that's the going rate. What isn't the going rate, what isn't acceptable, is a government spending wasteful amounts of money on public money on something that was half-assed, half-cocked, didn't even work, and there's no accountability for it. And they won't put their hand in their pocket to pay decent wages for public servants that we know how much we rely on over the last year and a half. That's what happened. You got doctors, nurses, policemen, firemen, all these people you took for granted, and you realise how much you need them, but they don't get any money like that at all. So,
Yeah, I
sorry,
agree.
I went on a rant then. Sorry.
No,
You're
absolutely
right, Ash.
I think you're
100% agree with that, Ash. 100% agree with it. Yeah, bus drivers go on strike because they had to work through COVID. I don't get it. You know, the government should have stepped up there and go, do you know what? We've been through one of the worst crises since the war, if you like, since the Second World War, and the people who were there, the emergency services of this country, were there 100% behind us. Here's a nice little bonus, or here's I mean, the nurses, for crying out loud, they got a 3% pay rise. Come on.
Do you remember we're outside with our dustpans and whatever, clapping them and clanking them, as though that made any big difference every Thursday at 8 o'clock? When you look back on that, do you not actually wince and go, oh God?
I mean, 3%.
You wouldn't get that now, Ash. I mean, unfortunately, I feel that the ship has sailed on that, and you know, this is the thing that really gets me. I think I've said it on this podcast in the past, is that the government should have been ready right about now to unleash a plan to talk about our post-COVID, our post-pandemic, our post-Brexit Britain, right? And they should have had departments who had nothing to do with health, nothing to do with social services, nothing to do with any of that, working on it. And I pretty much can confidently predict that there won't be one, you know, and they have the perfect opportunity that when you come out of something like this, here is our new horizon. And this is on top of bloody Brexit. You know, we're going from a pandemic to what was it? Pandemic to endemic, and we got Brexit as well. You know, and I don't see any plan. You know, that's.
Rob, can you imagine? You worked in in big business. Can you imagine any major company, in a FTSE 100 company or anything like that, not having a plan for the year, where they're going for the next 5 months, quarters?
But Ash, I can't believe there's any FTSE 100 executive team that's weaker than our current cabinet, or indeed any cabinet that could be formed by any political party at the moment, because they're not based on ability. It's based on something else, and that's our problem. And that's why I actually think we need electoral reform. You know, we don't have good enough people running this country from any party at the moment.
No, you're absolutely right. And you know what I think on that electoral reform thing? I think there's some men and women in the street there that I've got, oh, look at the government, they should do this, this, and this. You know what? You are a civilian man or woman that works, perhaps, I don't know, works in a small business, and yet you would do a good job of running the country, because you know what the British people want, and you're in touch with those British people. And it's going back to what you said, Rod. Nobody should be made Prime Minister of this country if all they've done is gone from university into local government, into central government, and become a Prime Minister, because they have no life experience of what life's about. They've never had to live those hard times, or struggle, or do this or do that I hate to use the phrase, but the common man and woman do. So those people who are ranting in the towns and saying that's terrible what the government are doing, why don't they do this? Why us four, for instance, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? We could run the country better than the government that's in there now, because we actually, as a collective, probably speak for a lot of the nation when we say, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that?
I've said this before. I think we've got our education secretary and the storyteller. We've got our health secretary and Ashu. Phil, personally, I would put you in charge of treasury and
sport and lack of culture.
Okay,
all right, Phil. Bloody hell. Oh, he's the rebel. He's the rebel in the cabinet already.
He wants
there's no harmony. Oh, there's no harmony.
Departments, crikey.
You know, I was going to give you treasury, you know, and you're not happy with that.
And Rod can be Prime Minister then in that case. We'll answer to you.
And I also want to travel, so come on, at least Foreign Secretary.
Well, I'll take any portfolio that's it's useful to have no memory, which actually is probably the Prime Minister right now. So that's okay.
You still do
So
it better.
I'm perfect for that. There you go.
Yeah,
You know,
you promised billions for the NHS. Don't remember that.
I can't remember that.
Do not remember that.
No, garden party, no idea.
Never happened.
Me.
Never
Not
happened.
me. Not me. Anyway,
And you pass a lie detector test.
I could absolutely. You know, I couldn't tell you what I was doing last week. So there you go. It's just as well it was Christmas, was it? I think. Anyway, it's lovely to be back on the straight and narrow on a Tuesday afternoon. And it's lovely to think that we might have just done a small amount to save mankind in the world. So I've got to go because my system's telling me once again that it's about to collapse.
Is that you or the internet?
No, it's me. It's me. Sorry, it's my system. So I'm
You're
going
about to collapse.
My computer is not liking it. I've got to sort myself out. I'll speak to you soon, guys.
It was lovely to
Happy New Year and a happy new week.
Happy New Year. See you all soon.